we have. So that's what we're going with. You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Well, that's great, dude. Because welcome to episode 5
Okay.
of
All right.
the Ready Set Lag podcast, ASMR edition. Okay, I guess you didn't like it. So no, we haven't posted in a while, and I would like to explain the reason for not having a podcast. It was all Nicholas's fault.
Okay, don't you start with that.
So, anyways,
No.
Absolutely
no.
exclusive.
Don't you dare do that.
Exclusive. No, it was actually, so I had a lot of work stuff, schedules. I'm not gonna say they weren't lining up because the days were lining up. It was the times that weren't lining up, and by that I mean I was going to bed. But back on it today. May possibly back-to-back episode recording. I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe. See if we can get Turk in for some anime stuff. You know what I mean?
I just know it feels good to be back.
It does. Feels fantastic. And we're starting off big.
Guys.
Starting off big.
Big news.
Big news. Ubisoft planning massive game showcase. We got this from Xfire. Good man Tom Henderson, who I literally follow religiously on Twitter for all the leaks and news. And I even DM'd him on Twitter, and he didn't respond.
Yeah.
So,
if you're listening,
respond, please. Please respond. please answer my DM. No, but Ubisoft with some big games, right? I know Skull and Bones well, first off, get exactly to the article. By the way, all the articles are posted in the description if you want to click any of them and read them yourself. But a total of 20 games are lined up for an announcement in the near future. And I know I'm excited for Splinter Cell, and Skull and Bones looks really, really good. But we got some Assassin's Creed information in there, Immortals Phoenix Rising, which was a great game. I don't know if you ever played it, but it's fantastic.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to play that. I just you and I both, like when we were younger, like Ubisoft was like it
was the greatest studio.
Yeah, came out with the best games. You and I like we really bonded over Splinter Cell.
Yeah, that was kind of the. Well, it wasn't the first game we played together, but I think it was the first game that I brought. It was the first one.
Yeah, I do know we played both Conviction and Blacklist together. Did we ever do? I don't think we ever did Chaos Theory. I don't think we played that together.
No, I mean I played all of them.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I beat all of them. Favorite was Pandora Tomorrow. Was my favorite Splinter Cell game. I think that was the only Splinter Cell game, unless the newer ones were made by another studio. But I think Pandora Tomorrow was made by a different studio.
Yeah, it was. I think the studio ended up shutting down or something. I can't quite remember.
That was my favorite one though. That was such a good game. But you know, I'm a huge Prince of Persia fan.
Yeah, and we bonded also over Assassin's Creed. Like you and I were also like every release, you and I were at the midnight releases, waiting in line. We'd get it, hop on PlayStation, and then
except for the newest ones.
Yeah.
But we do have Assassin's Creed Rift and Assassin's Creed Infinity. Now I don't know. We also have the Avatar game that everybody's super, super hyped about. I'm trying to remember which one was which. Okay, so Rift is the next. Okay, yeah. So Infinity is the next mainline game, and I think Rift is the multiplayer. So I think they're releasing 2 or is it like Freedom? I forget. I read something. They were doing something. They were doing something different with Assassin's Creed. But I didn't even play. I haven't even played Valhalla.
Weren't they doing like a virtual reality experience with Assassin's Creed? Or no. I think that was Splinter Cell.
Yeah, that was. Wait. Oh
or
yeah.
Both.
Yeah.
It might have been both, to be honest.
But so we got 2 Assassin's Creed games coming out. I'm not the biggest fan of Assassin's Creed games anymore. I still want to give Valhalla. I've gave them all a shot. Like I've played all of them. The last one I had any kind of fun in was Origins. Whenever the Ubisoft games are literally like a copy and paste of the same game with just like a different narrative. So like
which is what they started to do with like the old formula, and then when sales for Assassin's Creed Syndicate weren't meeting expectations, that's when they're like, okay, we got to change the formula, and now
to Assassin's Creed Division.
Yeah, and it's not to say that the new titles are bad. Like I'm not gonna say that they're bad. It's just it's not, to me. It's not Assassin's Creed.
Wait, I got that completely wrong.
What?
Infinity is the live service game.
Yeah, and then Rift is the next mainline title.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this title was intended as DLC for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. However, it has since morphed into its own standalone game. Okay, so we had those switched. But if you're a fan of Assassin's Creed in today's age, you're probably really, really excited for this. I'm not excited for a live service Assassin's Creed game. Just like if they ruin Splinter Cell and make that a live service game, I will probably riot.
I won't want to get another Ubisoft game if they manage to mess up Splinter Cell.
Then they have X Defiant, by the way, that they dropped the Tom Clancy brand from X Defiant. Thank God, because it's not a Tom Clancy game. So I'm really, really excited about that. We have Ghost Recon Frontline. It's the Battle Royale thing that they're putting out with all the NFTs, so it's going to be garbage. Excited about the Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake. Apparently a Prince of Persia new game is coming out, which I don't know if you ever played the Prince of Persia games, but they're fantastic. Beyond Good and Evil 2, and
been
then
waiting for that one for a while.
Splinter Cell remake.
Yes.
So
which don't Ubisoft, you listen to me right now.
Yeah, they'll do it.
Do not mess this up. Do not mess Splinter Cell up.
But then they have, Splinter Cell remake, still very early production, and although it probably won't release until 2024 at the earliest, we could see some CGI trailer to help boost talent interest for the project if Ubisoft thinks it's required. You don't need any boosts. People have been waiting for Splinter. We watch E3 every year waiting.
Every year. Oh yeah. Like that's like the one thing we've just been waiting on since when did Blacklist come out? It was like 2013.
Yeah, 2012, 2013.
Like Splinter Cell completely skipped an entire console generation. It has been that long. So people I know a lot of Splinter Cell fans have been getting really upset because they're putting Sam Fisher in everything except a Splinter Cell game.
Yeah, because I never understood that. I don't think they understood how. I think Blacklist had so much backlash for it not being Michael Ironside that they thought it wouldn't work, I guess. So they stopped making the games, even though I liked Blacklist personally. I had a good time with it.
Yeah, honestly, it incorporated a little bit of the old Splinter Cell and mixed it with the fun attributes of Splinter Cell Conviction, which went into like a totally new direction, but at the same time, it was fun.
I had a blast with it. And then obviously you've got the Division Mobile. Let's go, dude. Love mobile games. They're so fun. Oh, and by the way, Just Dance 2023, and you were right. Assassin's Creed VR, Splinter Cell VR. So,
bro, I can't wait to see Sam Fisher in Dance Dance.
Dude, I can't either, bro. They'll put it and be like, "Hey guys, by the way, we scrapped Splinter Cell, the game we were making, and We just threw them in Assassin's Creed VR and Just Dance 2023. So
Yeah,
you know, hope you guys like it. You know, give us more money. But that's huge news. I'm really, really excited. I hope it's some kind of like, you know, Ubisoft direct thing that they do and show all these games off, or at least talk about them. You know, I would be happy even if they just did like a Splinter Cell, like just get the developers, like the head developers, like have them sit around a table and just talk about what they're doing, right? Even if they don't have they're not going to give us a release date, which I hope. We talked about this before. They got to stop doing that.
Yeah.
But even if they're just like, hey, you know, we're huge fans. This is what we're making. This is what you can expect. Like, I'd be really, really happy with that. Like, rather than try to push something out, I'd rather them just talk about it.
From what I've read up on it, it's like, yeah, it's an entirely new remake, and like again, like it seems like the developers who are working on it seem that like they talk bah, bah, bah. Sorry, I'm fumbling all over my words right now. The developers mentioned that they're really big fans of this IP and they want to do it justice. So they want to stay true to the old Splinter Cell while trying to create something new, which sounds great. And it sounds like they're going to be sticking with the linear formula.
I hope so.
Yeah, and it's a shame, you know, like linear games are kind of dying out, but I feel like the advantage with linear games as opposed to like open worlds is like everything feels more focused. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. You also, this is what I think is the best thing for Ubisoft to do with the Division title. So the Division Heartland is going to be supposedly going to be free to play. So it says the release date from April 2022 to March 2023. I could see myself putting a lot of time into like a free to play model Division that's updated constantly, compared to playing like the Division or the Division 2, which we beat all of the Division.
Oh, we played a lot.
And then we played Division 2, you know. So we played a lot of it. It was fun for what it was. I just hate them for putting that into every single game they make. Yeah.
Like everything feels like the Division, like all of their titles now.
But if you guys want, you know, to look at all of these yourself, definitely, like I said, we'll have Skull and Bones. It's a game that's literally been in development for literally ever.
Yeah. Since the dawn of time.
They said it was in development hell, but apparently April 2022 to March 2023. So, you know, that's probably going to shift at some point. But, you know, people seem to be excited about that. I love pirate games. You know, we love Sea of Thieves. So hopefully, you know, I could play a little bit more of like a realistic pirate game. I feel like that could be pretty fun.
Yeah. I know back whenever it was first announced, I think they mentioned that essentially they were just taking like the fun aspects of Assassin's Creed for Black Flag, and then just expanding on that,
putting it into its own game. I just hope they don't. Yeah. I just really, really hope it's not just like, oh, well, see, it literally says the title will be multiplayer first and focus on ship combat. See, I like the ship combat stuff, dude, but I like Sea of Thieves. What's fun in that game, and I know there's two completely different games, but if I'm thinking like pirates, like I think Sea of Thieves, and the most fun for me was like hunting for treasure, boarding other people's ships. Like that's the fun stuff for me. So just literally rolling around in circles, fighting on a ship is not the most fun part. It's still fun, but I don't know if I'd want to spend like the entire game.
Well, I think it depends on how evolved the ship combat has gone since Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. They've had a lot of time to improve on it, so
hopefully they did something.
Yeah, we'll see if they make it a lot more fun than it was before.
Well, another massive, that's why I was really, really excited about talking today, is The Witcher. So it does not say, what does it, I don't think it said anywhere. Yeah, it doesn't say Witcher 4, so we don't know exactly who's.
Turns out it's Gwent 2.
Yeah, it's just the
Yeah.
card game.
Yeah.
No, but like they're moving off of the Red engine, which was CD Projekt's Red like proprietary engine that they developed themselves, and they're moving to Unreal Engine 5, which Unreal Engine 5 games are, I mean, they're gonna look incredible.
Yeah, I wonder if the decision was made to do that because of like just how buggy
Well,
Cyberpunk 2077 was.
you know it was, because at the bottom of their release it says Red Engine, the technology which powers Cyberpunk 2020 or 2077 is still being used for development of upcoming Cyberpunk 2077 expansions. So I guarantee you they were like, "Oh, when we try to make these massive like newer games, right? Like Cyberpunk had like mechanics that like Witcher didn't have to worry about." They probably, that's where I feel like they ran into a huge bunch of like their issues, because if you remember, this goes back from like DICE and EA, right, trying to use the Frostbite engine, which was made for first person shooters, and then trying to put that into Anthem, and it didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like a lot of the issues that they had might have been the engine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see this as a bad thing. The only thing that I'll say is that I've loved the look of the Witcher games. I've loved the way they played. I loved Cyberpunk. Once it, I didn't play it till all the bugs and everything got fixed.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope it still feels the same, right? They're switching engines.
Yeah.
I just hope the game still feels the same.
Yeah, hopefully it translates well. And I for one am super excited. The Witcher 3, in my humble opinion, one of the greatest video games ever made.
I put it up there. It's up there on my list for sure.
In fact, wasn't it so popular that I want to say it was like the leader of Poland,
Witcher 2. That was Witcher 2.
Oh, it was The Witcher 2.
Yeah, gave it to Obama. Yeah, it was Witcher 2.
Yeah, as a gift.
Yeah.
So like this world, these games, the Witcher franchise is just like this big testament to the people of Poland. Like this is like one of their greatest accomplishments.
It's an amazing, I mean, it's just an amazing game, right? Like I could never play the first Witcher game. I tried. It's just too old. Like I am one of those people, right? Like I can't play those like super old games. Like I can't go from like playing like, I don't know, like Elden Ring or Destiny or like Witcher 3 and then try to go. I did get through Witcher 2, but like playing through Witcher the first one, I just couldn't do it. So I obviously I watched a recap of the story to try to learn everything, but I just couldn't do it. But we've talked about this a lot. We've talked about the acquisition of companies. We've talked about the Sony versus Xbox stuff. Sony acquires Haven Studios, which Jade Raymond,
co-creator of Assassin's Creed.
So I don't like that apparently the game is supposed to be what is it supposed to be, multiplayer, or is it supposed to be a single player? Oh, AAA multiplayer experience. Yeah, I don't like that. Yeah. Don't like it.
But for Sony to like come in and like literally they snatched up like this studio that doesn't even have a game out. So really the only thing that they're after is or the talented developers.
And I don't know about like Jade Raymond. I don't know if that's like if she's a programmer or she just comes up with stories. I don't know exactly what she does, but obviously, you're a co-creator of one of the biggest gaming franchises of all time. Like that's, it's huge for Sony. It's massive.
She co-created Assassin's Creed, and I think she was an executive on Assassin's Creed 2, and she's helped out with a couple of other Ubisoft titles.
Well, that's massive.
Yeah, so
massive
she's got quite the resume.
Say what I said was like I think Sony is doing they're doing things the right way, right? Like I think Sony is after the talent, right? So you're like Haven Studios doesn't have a game, which is true, but they've got Jade Raymond, right? So they're like, oh, we want her talent. So they got Bungie, right? They wanted the talented developers at Bungie. So it's like I think they're going after the talent, not necessarily like these massive companies that already have established games, which they're going to do. I mean, Bungie has Destiny 2. But I think they're going after the talent. They're going to be like, okay, like you're buying Blizzard. Well, we're going to buy the people who can make games better than they can, right? And then they're going to, it might take, it's the slow game, right? And then they're going to start making better games. That's what I feel like they're doing. Might be wrong, though. I'm not an executive. But anything else to add before I do one of my wonderful transitions?
No, go ahead and hit me with that transition, big dog.
Speaking of acquisitions and then Bungie and then Destiny 2, Witch Queen. Fantastic. I wanted to talk about this, or I should have talked about this earlier. It's been out for a while now. Or not a while, but, a good little bit. We've played Destiny for a long time, right? Since the game came out, we sat in line for the release of Destiny, played it like religiously for months.
Oh man, dude, like, it was kind of nuts. Like we would just
it was inhuman.
set alarms.
It was inhuman.
We would set alarms on our phones just to wake up early to keep playing the game.
Yeah, it was that. It was a huge problem. Like
yeah.
And then I played all the expansions on Destiny, I think. The first one I did. And then Destiny 2 comes out, played it. I skipped one of the first ones. Either it was Osiris or it was Warmind. I skipped one of those. And then I played all of the other ones. Witch Queen in the realm of Destiny, so including Destiny 1 and Destiny 2, the second greatest expansion in my opinion. Taken King's always going to be number one, but Witch Queen, I've beat the story 3 times, all of my characters. Literally right before we started recording the podcast, I was doing my weekly resets on my hunter, getting ready for the raid. A little bit behind the ball, but having an absolute blast. And Destiny peaked. Destiny 2 peaked on Steam, 292,000 people playing the game, with a concurrent player base, as of last month, 125,000 playing the game on Steam. So that's huge, right? Like the Destiny's alive and well. It's a really, really good time. I want to see what the raid has to offer. Want to do some of the dungeons I haven't done. Like there's a lot of things that I got to do, but it's a good time, and definitely will probably most likely be playing it tonight more. But I just had to say it. It's fantastic. If I had to give it a rating, because people like ratings, it's not a 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10. Fantastic. That's literally it. I didn't write anything down. I just wanted everybody to know that it's worth your time. So if you're a Destiny fan who hasn't played in a while, definitely give Witch Queen a try. I think you'll really, really enjoy it. You've not played it yet. Or you played a little bit of it.
Yeah. Like whatever's available. Like the first little bit before you have to like buy it. But
you need
from
to buy
like
it.
what I mean, I had a blast from what I've played.
Yeah, it's a good time. Story's there. Obviously every single expansion that they do, they keep getting better and better and better with the storytelling and the cutscenes, and it just keeps getting better. But speaking of rating things, oh my god, I'm so good at it.
You're so good at this.
I'm so good at this. Elden Ring.
Here we go.
It's time. It's time.
Sorry, it has literally taken forever.
He literally just beat it 5 minutes before we started recording.
I'm like literally, I beat the game just before we started.
So he beat the game. Here's exactly how this transpired. Well, I'll talk about. I'm gonna let Nick kind of cover the review, and I'll interject with some things because I didn't beat the game. Here's exactly the timeline of me and Elden Ring. We get the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
I say, I'm not playing it. I watch Nicholas play it, and I'm like, wow, this looks really fun. So then I start playing it. I get about halfway in, and it's a blast. But then Destiny 2 Witch Queen comes out, and I stop playing. But I can't talk about it. I beat a lot of it, beat a lot of the optional bosses. I'm still above like 0.5. I'm like top 0.5% of the game, or 5% of the game, or something like that. People who play
like
the game.
you can beat it. Like you can definitely.
Yeah, it's not. I didn't quit the game out of frustration this time. I quit the game because Destiny 2 and the grind of getting engrams brought me back into Destiny. But the game is fun. Me and Nick talked about it, so I'm gonna let him talk about it. And then we did agree. We did not agree on the rating of Dying Light 2 necessarily, but we do agree on the rating for Elden Ring.
Yes.
So go ahead, take it away.
All right. First off, let's go ahead and just cover the pros of this game. First up, we got graphics.
We do have them. They're there.
This game is beautiful.
Absolutely amazing.
So beautiful to look at. Complete eye candy from start to finish. Like, there's literally nothing more you can say. Graphics, top notch, really just gorgeous to look at. Like, very well done. Next thing, atmosphere. And when I say atmosphere, I mean like the world,
the ozone
of this
layer.
Game. This game
hemisphere,
is stratosphere.
Yeah, it's all there.
This game is massive.
Huge. You think it's smaller than it actually is, and then it's like the map just keeps going.
Yeah, like you like when you first start the game, and before you have like anything on the map like unlocked and you can actually see anything, it's like you'll go to the map and you'll zoom out and you're like, oh, okay, this is kind of a decent size. And then like as you can continue the story and unlock sites of grace and find maps to uncover the whole thing, it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
And then everything you see too, it's like one of those games. Like I remember playing I don't know, I'm trying to think of like a old open world game, but like like you see, like you load in, you're just like, oh man, I wish I could go up to the top of that mountain. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like the Skyrim feeling, right? To where it's like everything you see pretty much you can go to. And that's kind of what Elden Ring is. Like you see something, you're like, oh dude, that looks so cool. Just give it a little bit and you'll probably be there.
Like you'll see like the map and you're like, gosh, this is huge. And then you'll find some kind of secret entrance, like an elevator that will take you down into like an underground labyrinth. And then you're just like, there's more? Like it's nuts how big this game is. And I guarantee you players are going to keep finding secrets for years to come.
Oh yeah, this game it's going to be around for a long time.
Yeah, like people are going to just like cover every inch of this map. It's going to take a while.
What else do we have?
Let's see.
Music.
Okay, thank you.
We've got music.
Yeah. Whoever composed the music for this game.
We've got atmosphere.
Oh,
sorry. I'm sorry. I went
backwards. You like the music for this game is so well done. I think I can't remember the person's name who made it at the moment. I do know it was the same person who composed Sekiro. Just absolutely like awesome music, very well done. The bosses in this game, there are
infuriating.
There are quite a bit of them.
There is, but I will say one thing that is irritating about the bosses in this game. It's they're really hard. No, like the problem is like you'll run into a boss, and it's kind of like this. It's like this like ladder of like you'll beat a boss, like then you'll move on to the next area. That boss that you just fought is now just the regular enemy. Like same move sets, but it's just like it's like the game just like, yeah, you're supposed to be this good, and if you're not, you might want to go back. right? Like, if you're not there yet, just turn around.
The game is just like, boom, here's a tree sentinel. And then you struggle fighting this thing. You're like, oh, thank God I finally beat it. You keep playing the game, and suddenly, boom, 2 tree sentinels.
Not bosses.
No. These are like, you have like main bosses, then you got like side bosses, and then you have like these bosses just kind of litter the open world.
And then you have dragon breathing tree sentinels. And then you have 2 dragon breathing tree sentinels. I'm just waiting on you to just load into the game, and there's just a horde of fire breathing tree sentinels. And it's just like, yeah, this is the last boss. All right, like, go ahead. No, this is horde mode. Just go ahead and try to last as long as you can. The tree sentinels are very, very annoying, but the bosses that I've fought have been the design for the bosses. Now, you can cheese some of the bosses pretty hard, but only certain builds can cheese certain bosses. You might not get the same experience that you got the first time you fought the boss if you go back or you make another character and you fight. So there's it's so rich with content, and it's so fun. Like I was saying, I never experienced a From Software game before, but it's like you reach a boss, you could spend all day trying to beat that boss, not do it, right? Like keep dying, but and then the first time that you beat one of the bosses, it's like you chase that feeling of beating that boss for the rest of the time you play the game.
Yeah, the feeling that like the feeling that comes over you, like when you finally beat a boss that you've been stuck on, is there. Like I can't describe it. Like
it's addicting.
It's kind of it's a very addictive feeling, and that's kind of what keeps you going through this game.
And then that leads on to, the weapons, right? Like I'm running a samurai. The weapons, like they're so like way more than I do because I've just literally been running katanas. But like I've watched streamers play the game. I've watched YouTube videos of it, and it's like every time I watch something, I see a different kind of weapon that I didn't know about.
Oh right? Yeah, the variety of like weapons is pretty nuts. Like you got so many different types that do like so many different things. It really gives you a sense of freedom.
And then if you want to put the game on easy mode, you just get magic. So it's perfect for people who suck at games. I don't blame you for using magic.
I only did it for a little bit.
I just think you could be better.
Yeah.
No, but for real, the magic is really, really cool watching it. Like there's weapons in this game. There's like, I don't know. It's just so much better than anything that's been out. Like I'm trying to think of like a new game, right? Not like like I talked about Destiny 2, that's an expansion, right? Not even comparable, but like a new game that's come out that's been such well received that people's really, really, you can tell it's got the legs, right? Well, the Souls fandom has been keeping games alive for a long time anyways, but I mean it's truly amazing. Game of the year for sure.
Yeah. Next we have gameplay. So yeah, like what also is like really impressive to me,
and then we got atmosphere.
Okay. Oh my god. What was really impressive to me is like the different builds that people have been able to come up with.
It's a billion of them.
Yeah, like I saw what was it? Somebody got this like double-bladed weapon. I can't remember, twin blade. They got a twin blade and then they put on this effect that makes it look like a glowing red lightsaber. They look like Darth Maul running around.
That's dope.
Yeah, people like shooting like magic cannonballs out of the front of their shields. Just so many different things. Like you can get really creative, and it really adds again to like the freedom of the game. And you can really create the play style that really suits you the most,
which is important, right? I mean, and it also like this kind of is moving ahead of it a little bit, but it's to circle back to weapons, right? Like, and it's talking about like how you think it's daunting, like the next thing is like the breath of fresh air for gaming. Like you think about how the game doesn't hold your hand with things, right? Which is a From Software like staple, right? But I think this is it's not the first like obviously massively successful game because they have all the Souls games. They've got Sekiro, they got Demon Souls, like they've got all these massive games. This is definitely the first like From Software game that people I know who pretty much know nothing about video games have said, "Hey, you played Elden Ring yet?" Like
like the player base itself, like the amount of people playing this game is nuts. Like rarely do you actually see an increase in players like show up after the open like the launch.
yeah.
But it's
And
just like the amount of concurrent players just keeps going up and up and up.
but like to circle like the breath of like the game doesn't hold your hand, so I feel like people will go out and discover like those builds, right? Like they'll just figure stuff out on their own, and I think that's so important. I think that's one of the things that is going to keep Elden Ring going for so long. Like obviously they're going to do some expansions, and I can't wait to see them. Hopefully I'll have beaten the game by then. But I mean, obviously this is something we're going to report on for a while. Like even though Nick's beaten it and all that kind of stuff, we'll definitely going to be if expansions come out, we'll definitely talk about them and play them. And but yeah, dude, it was a cool game. It was a cool experience. We loaded into it to get into a little bit of the cons of it. We loaded into the game, and I have no idea what this PvP thing is, so I'm gonna let you talk about that. But the performance, the performance was they've kind of fixed it since I played it last a little bit, but it was pretty bad on PC. It was pretty terrible.
Yeah. So like so we're starting to move into the cons. So yeah, the performance issues have been pretty bad on PC when it comes to like FPS and stuff like that. Me personally, and now I would like to say this: you did not experience the same performance issues that I did, because my game literally it froze 11 times during my playthrough, where I've had to like
I just got some
my PC.
I just got some frame drops in the like the open world, right? So never had a frame drop in a boss fight. It was always like just running around like on torrent. Like I would get some frame drops.
You kind of have to like understand, just because of how big the world is, that's like at launch, like it's gonna kind of happen.
Yeah, but like even my frame drops weren't even that bad, right? Like I dropped to like I don't know, like 45, right? So it wasn't like stuttering really, really bad, like where it was dropping like 5 frames. So like I was still playing the game, but I noticed it, right? And I've got a pretty hefty PC, right? And I have a buddy who was playing 3080 Ti and all these kind of things, and he was struggling to run the game.
Yeah, and I'm rocking a 1080 Ti here, so.
But he was running. He went from 4K 1440 to 1080, and he was still having the same problems every single time he played. So it was definitely Elden Ring's problem. Like I said, the last time I played it, I didn't get any kind of frame rate issues. So I don't know if this was something they fixed, but it's something we have to talk about because it was when we were playing the game, especially to review, right? And also when you have these really big, like you expect some kind of issues because we don't expect people to be perfect, and there are certain bugs or glitches or whatever that you can look over. But it was pretty bad at launch.
Yeah, like one bug I had just like twice was this weird thing where I would go to summon my mount, and my character would jump up like he was about to get onto the mount.
Yeah, and then you would just float. I had that. I got that.
And then you just die.
Yeah, I got that one too. I thought that was more funny, to be honest with you, but it was.
That one, it wasn't a problem. It only happened like twice for me. But really, the big thing for me personally, because it didn't happen to you, but for me running a 1080 Ti, it was the crashes. Like I've literally had 11 times that the game froze up to the point where I couldn't open Task Manager and shut the game down. I had to fully restart my PC 11 times.
Well, Maybe you'll explain what this Death Blight build is in PvP.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Okay, so the other con on the list here is something called the Death Blight build. People have been using this build in PvP, and it is super cheesy. So essentially, what it
is it like magic?
Essentially what it is it takes two elements of the game. So there's a weapon called the Eclipse Shotel curved blade, and they use the Ash of War on it, and it's called Death Flare. So what it does is it lets you build up instant death on your target, like whenever you hit them. So what they do is they combine that Ash of War, and then they combine it with something called Death Flare. And what it is, it's a spell that's an area of effect spell. And what it does when you combine those two things is if someone, like if you invade someone's game or someone invades yours, and you pull that combination out, if someone uses the area of effect with that Ash of War for that weapon, essentially it builds instant death if you're just near that player. You don't even have to get hit.
So we got we got some balancing issues.
We have some serious balancing issues with PvP for people who are running that build. It's kind of nuts. Absolutely needs to be nerfed. Which I heard there was a patch recently that nerfed a lot of things. I didn't actually go over the list. So there is a chance they might have fixed it. But yeah, they were running this build. Like a lot of people were running this build, and it was just dominating PvP. Like,
well, we talked about. I'm gonna let, since Nick's the one that beat the game, I'm gonna let him actually give the RSO score for this game. But actually, no, you give the score for the game, and then I'll say what I want to say.
Okay. So
we got atmosphere.
Yeah, we got atmosphere. So with everything that we've gone over, with the pros and the cons, I feel as the game is in its current state, it's about a 9 out of 10. Now, I would like to say that once they fix the performance issues and that ridiculous Death Blight build and PvP, I feel like it would be the first official 10 out of 10 for Ready Set Lag. The game is phenomenal. You should definitely go out and buy it.
With that From Software warning.
Yeah, however, it is a From Software game. It's going to be very, very hard. But it was overall an enjoyable experience. A Game of the Year contender for sure.
I would like to... No, go ahead.
It'll definitely be critically acclaimed for a long time. Like this game has now set the bar for me in terms of a massive open world RPG games.
And I just want to say, like, that 10 out of 10, right? We're not some of these other companies that just because the game's good, right? We're not even a company, but we're not a group that reviews games and talks about gaming news. Soon to be company. But we're like, that 10 out of 10 is going to be very hard to get, right? Mm-hmm. And I will say that if we would have been doing this when Ghost of Tsushima came out, that definitely would have been our first 10 out of 10. Mm-hmm. But you might have people say it was like, oh, it's just some performance issues. Like, why didn't it get a 10 out of 10? It's because like that bar is really, really high, right? For you to get a 10 out of 10, like your game has to be perfect, not just perfect in a month after it comes out or perfect in 2 months after it comes out. No, it's got to be almost perfect.
Well, we're judging the game. Yeah, we're judging the games by when we play them.
Yeah, it's not, it doesn't matter about patches.
Yeah, in this case, it was at release.
And it was definitely a 9. You could push for a 9.5, but we're kind of trying to, the 0.5, like we're kind of trying to stay away from a little bit. So that 10 is when we played it at launch. Those were the issues we were having. Pulled you out of the game, the immersion of the game, the atmosphere of the game, pulled you all out. And so it's a 9 out of 10, right? And maybe, in a couple months, if that was the game we reviewed, it would be a 10 out of 10.
Right. But, yeah. Either way, as far as like would we recommend
Oh,
that you play this
absolutely.
game?
Absolutely.
100%.
The game is very for the games, the hot garbage games we've been getting lately. For $60, you are getting all of that $60 worth of game. You're getting
Yeah.
more than $60 worth of game, right? Like,
you were like, this game really pushes against what the modern, what modern gaming has become.
and I love it.
You know, it does, like, From Software did their own thing. They created their own thing, and it paid off.
And it
Very
was
well
it
done.
was so good. But that's pretty much all we got for you today. You know, we should have had the Elden Ring review out sooner. But like I said, Nick just beat it. We would have reviewed it prior to us necessarily beating the game because we'd played so much of it. But I'm glad we beat it. I'm glad we beat it when we reviewed it. I wish that we were one of those people who got games really early to be able to kind of tell you whether or not the game's worth your time, because I doubt anybody's necessarily waited to get the game.
And yeah, it's definitely important that we mention we are not like From Software players.
Oh God,
like,
no.
we literally, like, our experiences have been Bloodborne. Like, we both played Bloodborne.
And
you
my
returned the
experience
game.
with Bloodborne was terrible. Broke a controller and returned the game.
Yeah, like, how long after you bought it? Like,
Oh, it's the next day.
It
was the very next day. Yeah. Like, I did not have a good time.
Yeah, I had it for a couple of weeks before I traded it in, and then I have Sekiro on my PC. I got decently far into it, but I got stuck on this one part and I didn't finish it. This is the first From Software game I have actually finished.
Which is why it's important when we tell you that the game is worth your time. It is very much worth your time. It's a very fun game.
It's coming from someone who isn't even a veteran of this series or of the From Software games, and it's just a really, really good time.
And the game's hard. It's hard.
It's made me want to go back and play the other From Software games. Like, it's turned me into a fan, you know?
But once again, when we recommend the game, when we're saying it's hard, I don't mean like it's like, oh, like it might take you like a couple extra hours to beat the game. No, I mean days. I mean weeks possibly to beat the game. It is a very hard game.
It took us like 3 weeks to finish this thing.
But it was worth it. It was worth it.
So good.
But, you know, that's pretty much all we have to talk about. You got anything else to add, buddy?
Thank you guys so much for listening. Really appreciate it.
And we've got atmosphere.
Yeah, we got so much atmosphere going on right now.
So much.
And once we get off here, I'm just gonna play a little more Elden Ring.
I'm gonna play more Destiny 2. Witch Queen.
But you guys take care.
And I love you.
Remember, we love you so much.
Okay, bye.